It is interesting to see that, and we've got in the country, within our borders, we've got labor laws that prevent people from organizing to get their fair wages and to get safety issues put in place. At the same time, we've got exportation of jobs and laws that make it profitable for companies to send their jobs overseas. Somewhere, somehow, this has got to come to an end. I'm glad to hear that you guys in our elected offices see these problems and see that the long-term prognosis or diagnosis, if we keep following this route, will be the United States of America that we grew up in, and the freedoms that we take for granted will no longer be as sweet or as great as they are now, and the jobs and the infrastructure and the community that we have will certainly not hold up down the road if we keep this path going. And I'm glad to hear that you guys are for unionization and labor and the Employee Free Choice Act, because I think that's one of the steps on one side. Internally in the country, we still have a lot to do as far as exporting jobs and free trade, because it's almost like all the lessons that our country learned about giving employees rights in the 30s under the New Deal, the laws have changed so that we can now take those jobs to other countries where they don't have any history of that and exploit those children and sometimes slave workers in China, prison workers. It's really not just an issue about getting enough rest or enough sleep. It's about morals and values. And you know, I heard representatives talk about the values of the Democratic Party. One of the values we hold dear is that we treat people, the least among us, and in this case, not just workers here, but abroad, treat them fairly. Let them have a chance to have something like we have in this country, and hopefully that will change the way we look at things.
You bring up a good point about the American dream. I mean, this is really the core to opportunity. If we aren't a classist society, if we believe in a meritocracy, the unions, the skilled trades, the organized workforce that provide training opportunities to people who might not have had it otherwise, it is equal opportunity in every sense across the board. And people can, the American dream comment about, I mean, people can have access, or at least have historically, with the help of labor unions, been able to have access to the kind of wages and jobs that support a family, a college, a comfortable retirement, maybe not decadence, but you know, that's what I expect out of the United States of America. I think that's what we fought for. I think that is the heart of the opportunity of what we thought we were trying to create for every American, not just for the wealthy. I think unions have an absolutely critical role on that. The more we do an all-out assault on unions, the worse your health care gets. The more pensions get raided, the more our jobs, as you mentioned, get outsourced, the more it removes equality and opportunity, which is everything that I think that we ought to stand for as a country. Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, these are values that supposedly we all hold dear. And we're not seeing it in practice. And people don't always realize that the assault they try to make against unions is really an assault against workers, which is almost every citizen of the United States of America. And we need to realize that the attacks on labor are really an attack on citizens and undermining each of those basic values that I think we actually share as a society. And it's really sad to see, it's sad to see these erosions happening. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunity to reverse some of this, but we can't take it for granted. I mean, the consequences on this issue are terribly far-reaching. And I hope people will realize that this affects far more than the people immediately under the benefit of a union contract.
Well, guys, I really want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Representative Gagliardi, Representative Carroll,
thanks, Blake.
Oregon, Sarah. Thanks for being on UP News. This is Wade Norris, your host. We've been talking about labor and the Employee Free Choice Act. If you have a chance to call your representative or have a chance to vote on the Employee Free Choice Act, I strongly suggest that for the sake of the middle class and the future of the American dream, you embrace the Employee Free Choice Act and don't listen to the spin against it. This has been Wade Norris with UP News. Have a good night.
Todos los compañeros, los miembros que han luchado tras diferentes generaciones para un sueldo de vivir, un sueldo justo. Y estamos aquí y esto no es una lucha solo para ustedes, es una lucha para todos los trabajadores por todas partes. Gracias. Compañeros, queremos darle las gracias por el apoyo. Brothers, I want to thank you for your support. Por estar hoy con nosotros en esta lucha con los janitors del Park Meadows. For being with us in this struggle to support Park Meadows janitors. Sabemos que es una pelea difícil y larga. I know it's a long and hard fight. En la que ahora creemos en nuestro sindicato y creemos en los trabajadores, en el derecho y en la libertad de poder formar parte de una unión. To struggle for the right and the freedom to form a union. Thank you. ¡Sí se puede! 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 ¡Sí se puede!
Ha sido votado por los migrantes, el cambio de los trabajadores. I just said you were fighting for that.
Carlos.
Encantada, gracias por estarnos apoyando.